Return to Glory podcast, October 23rd. Hunter Zarber, Nikki Austin Rose, Dakota Freitag, Ohio State week, in a little bit better mood than a couple of days ago. But we might just be back where we were last Saturday, depending how the game goes.
Why are you not back where you were on Monday night, outside?
Yeah, in the rain. You chose a spooky background.
It's not a background. I'm in a haunted house right now.
Oh. Do you guys believe in haunted houses? Let's listen. Do you believe in ghosts?
No.
Yes.
No. Definitely.
Yes. Very scared.
So that's what happens at 12:30 a.m. at the bar when Dak is not coherent. He's just like seeing ghosts everywhere.
I turned in Sam Darnold.
Ohio State week. The one game that I don't think anybody thought we had a chance to win going into the year.
Definitely everyone thinks the same thing coming out of the year.
Correct. Where we're at now, I don't think we're there. But what fun is it to be a fan and have zero hope to win a game?
It's not. That's why we pretend every year we're going to win the championship.
So we're going to pretend or sell ourselves today on how we are going to beat the Ohio State Buckeyes. The one thing that I saw while I was studying for the podcast is we have a 3.5% chance of winning. And I don't think it was the FPI, but it was some metric. So it's out there. You're saying there's a chance.
Out there. Yeah, you're right. There is a chance. At least this game we're going to go. If we get blown out this game, you kind of expect it. The Indiana game hurt just because you thought we had a chance, a real chance. We're projected to lose by like 25 points. So Indiana, we were projected to lose by 6, 7.
Ohio State's got to be the only team last couple of years of the games you've been going into with zero hope. I don't know. Did you guys have any hope last year against Michigan going into that one?
No.
Okay, and then that Michigan game and then the Ohio State one. But what has been the combined score of Ohio State and Nebraska since they joined the Big Ten? Anyone know?
Do you?
I have no idea. I was asking
I thought this was going to be one of those good old, like, you guys know.
He did. I'm like, he really did his research for the pod. I thought he had the stat ready to go. Nope, no idea.
Give me a second. I'll keep talking, but give me a second.
This will be impressive if you can come up with this soon. Let's see. Let's think of the games we can remember.
We won one, 27-23, right?
A Rex Burkhead game. I think it was 34-27. That's my count.
And they came back. They were down by a lot in the first half, right?
Big comeback game there. I know we lost at their place early, while we were in high school, maybe 2011, 2012, like 62-36 or something like that.
All right, here, I got it right here.
Let's hear
back to 1955. Well, I don't have our exact numbers, so we're going to have to do the math in your head.
Let's go since the Big Ten. I want to know since the Big Ten.
Which would have been 2011, correct?
His name, we don't do the, I don't really care about the exact numbers. I want to know the scores of every game.
All right, so 2011, first game against them in the Big Ten. At Memorial Stadium, we won 34-27. The next year, at Ohio, we lost 38-63. And then 2016, you remember the 2016 game. I remember the 2016 game.
Was that game day?
We lost 62-3. Yep.
Wasn't quite game day yet.
No, that was later on.
2017 at Memorial Stadium, we lost 14-56. 2018, we lost 36-31, so pretty close. 2019, we lost 7-48. 2020, we lost 17-52. And then 2021, we had the close game where we lost 17-26.
For some reason I don't remember that one. The one that I distinctly,
I don't remember the 18 one.
Dak remembers the game day one. I remember the game, the COVID game because it was the first game of the year, and
fuck.
we went down and ran a option that first drive, like the old school triple option, all the way down the field and scored when it was 7-0. And then
They
I think
scored that touchdown.
they might have scored quick, and then we scored again, and then we're up 14-7, and then we didn't score like the rest of the game. But I remember that, like how excited it was because it was football's back, events are back, and then
So out of our 8 times we've played, they have scored 48 or more points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. So if we can
So
hold them
looking
under
good.
48, yeah, looking real good.
The more we talk about it, the closer I think you guys are to winning.
If it makes you feel any better, before we joined the Big Ten, we lost to them 7-34 in 1956 and 28-20 in 1955.
well, there you go. So we still haven't been good against them. What I want to do here to start, and then I'll get into our Ohio State preview. I just want to give us the idea, and yes, we're going to try to do it. It's not, we can be funny with it, but like, what do we have to do specifically in this game? How does the game have to go for us to pull the upset that nobody ever would be expecting, which we've never done, it feels like, ever in our lifetime? Dak, the honor is yours to kick us off because I am intrigued to hear all of your different things.
All right, so pregame, this is what you do. You fire Satterfield going in the state. Actually, before you leave, you fire him right away. We'll get into that later. I think you fire him. You should have fired him today for many reasons. If you listen to the press conference, he should have been fired. Like, that's
Okay, well,
Maybe.
let's do this now, and then you can keep going.
okay. Yeah, let's just maybe put him in jail for that. That's the worst thing I've ever heard about.
It was
Okay,
pretty
No,
bad.
we can get into it.
No, yeah, let's do it right now.
let's
What
do
did
it,
you
'cause
say, Dak?
Go ahead. Yeah, you tell the people what they want to hear.
After you put up the shittiest offense performance you've had, I'd say that was the worst one you've had. Even last year, you had every offensive game is better than that one. And he comes out and says, "Yeah, we want to average 4 yards of play." And what did he say about the Big Ten? He's now wants to figure out, or wants the team to play like a Big Ten offense. Did he just figure out they joined the Big Ten? Like, what's he been trying to do?
So 4 to 6 was the quote, the line, 4 to 6 yards.
Which puts you at the bottom of college football, if you average that.
4.
Yeah,
Yes.
still.
So I'm going to do this. I'm going to defend him a little bit because I do think it's funny, and he got slammed by Barstool. He's getting slammed by Dak. I guess I will say this. I would have had no idea how to answer that question either, but I'm also not the offensive coordinator of a Big Ten football team, and that's not my job. But I would have never guessed that the spread between the worst and the best is this marginal. Like the best teams are in the 7s, right? And the worst teams are, like 4 would be the worst in the Big Ten. Any guesses what Ohio State averages?
5.7.
I want to say
5.9.
I want to say 5.6.
Let's guess.
So guess what? Yeah, if you want to look at the 4 end, yeah, it's a bad comment, but he did say 6, which is the high end. He basically just covered the whole range when he made the comment. So I guess if you want to read into it, he also responded to it though, like he really didn't know or didn't care. He just kind of said better than what it is now, which, I mean, that's fair. Here's the thing with Satterfield. He's not an elite offensive coordinator. We've all known that. Our offense, there's a whole other discussion here in a little bit on what's going on with them and what the idea is. I think Rule has a lot of control over him, which I think is good. I think that was the opposite of how it was with Whipple and Frost. I think Whipple kind of did his own thing. Well, Frost did his own thing. And Whipple kind of did his own thing. I think Rule has the ability and the power, I guess, over him. But Satterfield did come out and say, yeah, we want to run our Big Ten offense, and it's my fault, took the blame. I mean, it kind of sounded like, again, Rule's kid or Rule's subordinate, which it is what it is. I think, yeah, he's probably up there if you're going to say, let's make some coaching changes at the end of the year, or if Dak says as we're walking out of the tunnel.
I say now.
He'd probably be up there towards the top if, maybe behind Ed Foley. But I will defend him a little bit. I think got pulled out of proportion. It is funny to think about, like, when he's made the comment. That's my take on it all.
It's not great to hear when it's like, yeah, what do you think your yards per play should be? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, you think you should at least have some canned answer of like,
yeah,
we don't operate under a yards per play. It's really dependent on the matchup or something other than, I don't know. Like that's not, after a game that you looked like that, you can't say that. You have to at least sound competent. It wasn't a great look. I agree with you, Hunter. It's not as bad as it was. Realist, I agree. It's probably just like whatever. You're gonna keep grilling me. Like, here's an answer. I don't really care. But also, when everyone wants your head, don't make it easy to be like, this guy doesn't have any freaking clue what he's doing when everyone's already questioning that.
I guess I'll defend him a little bit here. If you have every play that goes 4 yards, you're scoring a touchdown every drive. So maybe
look at you, Dak, coming around.
Maybe he just outsmarted us. I mean, he can't outsmart us coaching, but he can do the press conference.
180-yard play and 19 0-yard plays.
I mean, we can. If we go back last year, I'm pretty sure, since when I was saying Jeff Sims sucks, the same podcast I was saying Mark Satterfield sucks, and he hadn't done anything. I don't know why they brought him back. Your offense was awful last year. You could blame the quarterback position, but
Dak got 2 things right in his entire career on this podcast, and boy, is he hanging his hat.
And they're right off the jump.
Yeah, the first episode.
So, on the topic of firing coaches, because I did want to discuss this as well, because that's the talk this week amongst a lot of people, that and the quote-unquote identity word. So, most people are in consensus, do nothing now, which I don't think you should either. End of the year talk, people are saying there might be changes. It brings in the conversation in college football, well, in any sport really, of the process versus bringing in someone that can get stuff going right away. And I feel like Nebraska fans have hardly leaned on the process for the last several years to get things rebuilt. And then you play teams like we mentioned before. Well, Indiana, your Minnesotas with PJ Fleck. I'm blanking. There's so many other teams. Oh, last year with Michigan State, with Mel Tucker coming in. You see, I guess it was a couple of years ago. You see these first-year coaches coming in and beating us, and it just makes you question the process. So, yeah, with the head coach, that's one thing. But then when you go with the coordinator, how much of that applies to a coordinator position? How interchangeable are they with their system, with their schematics, with the belief and control they have over their players that are underneath them? I think that college football is moving with coordinators, especially. They're becoming more and more interchangeable every year where, all right, this isn't working, scrap it, let's try something new. The problem with that is, though, you're not getting any consistency or chance to recruit the type of players that you want to fit into the system that you're running. And I think that's a big part of the process. So there's give and take there both ways. With the transfer portal, it allows you to be a little more interchangeable and do that because you can grab people, but it's how you can identify those players that fit well into our system. Isaiah Nair, Jamal Banks, praised. They were praised early on. Now, last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, they're like horrible. And do they fit in the type of offense we're running? I don't know. Dante Dowdell, does he fit with what we want to run? I don't know. What do we want to run? I don't know. So that's where all of the questions come in to firing a coach and thinking about the process.
I don't know if they know what they want to run.
They don't.
problem, I think. So what are your guys' thoughts on firing coaches? I mean, Dak, it sounds like you're ready. You're ready to get you want Will Venables gone at Oklahoma. I mean, you're
Brent.
a quick sugar.
Brent, yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with Rule though. It's like, hey, it's going to take time, and part of it is how are you rebuilding the program? I mean, Rule's approach is we're going to get young guys, we're going to get a bunch of freshmen, and we're going to develop them into good players. They're not necessarily good players out of high school, but in 3 years they're going to be good. And when you're starting with where you're starting, there's going to be a learning curve. And I'm fine with the idea of like, hey, we're going to give a guy 3 years. You get 3 years, your guys are going to be – we've got the 3-year development. This is the year they need to be hitting the ground. If it doesn't work in year 3 –
and you think that applies to assistant coaches too?
Yes. I do.
Yeah.
They're cheaper to fire.
I think if you know, like, there's nothing that a coach can do to not get fired at the end of the year, why not just fire him now? Like, it's if he knows he's gonna get fired, he's definitely not coaching that hard. Like, he's probably saying effing, not like, I don't know.
But you got to think for the rest of the year though. Right now, okay, you say middle of the year, Dak, you want him fired. I mean, what's the alternative here? Who's running the offense? What are we doing?
Well, that's the thing is,
and
you're not like an NFL team. You don't have offensive coaches just sitting in the wing behind them. So that's another thing.
Right.
You might laugh at this, but the optimistic view is, besides this week, our last 4 games are games that we can win. I'm not saying we will win all 4 of them, but they're games that we can win because all these teams have looked really good and really bad, including Nebraska at times throughout the year. So you make a change like that. I mean, what does that say for the rest of the year? You're giving up on the year. I mean, I don't know what that message is to your team. So that, again, I don't think any changes now for sure. End of the year, I think that's when you evaluate and you say, what are we trying to do? The problem is, I don't know that anybody knows the answer to that, especially from a fan base perspective. I want to jump into that here in a while, but Dak, I want you to keep going on your ways to beat Ohio State because we got off track there.
Also, update: Fan Survivor just got killed.
Austin out, done. He
Liberty,
did warn us coming in.
That's not the one I would expect.
Liberty 5-0, 24-point favorites, destroyed by the 0-6 Kennesaw State. I don't even know what their mascot. The Owls.
Honestly, Liberty, I thought was gonna be really good this year. They were 5-0, but they didn't look as good as I thought they would. But anyway, okay, here we go. So here's another pregame you think you do. You act like you forget the time of the game. You show up at 1 o'clock. You say, "Shit, we missed the game. Never play them again." That's just the end of that. you just don't play the game.
He's a genius.
Hold on, what?
You can't lose a game you don't play.
Exactly. You just forget.
That's not the question. The question is, how do we beat Ohio State? That does not accomplish us beating Ohio State.
Okay, so then here we go.
You can't just like throw it out there and then just say, "Nope, that was bad." Like, what? No.
All right, I think one of the main goals is you want the ball first, you go down and score. If you give Ohio State the ball first, they score. I think you lose all momentum at all, and it's just going to be a slaughter from there. You want the ball first. You want to at least move the ball. If you score a field goal, that's fine. You'd love to score a touchdown on the first drive. Even if you get to like the 40 and you punt it to them, at least you have a little momentum. I think that's the first step you got to do to beat them. Next one is you got to run the ball. Find a way to run the ball. Maybe use a little bit of motion, Satterfield, for the love of God. Don't just line up an I formation, do the same thing over and over.
Okay.
Use a little motion.
I'm pausing you on that because this is my next question. That is the message this week, and I think that's a really good answer to a way to beat Ohio State. Is our run game has to be effective, and it has not been all year. It hasn't been. Last game, when you can't run it up the middle, we tried to get our quote-unquote run game going on the perimeter with some bubble screens, some running back flares, motion, like jet sweep type of stuff. Well, guess what? Our perimeter blocking wasn't very good. So we can't do that. I think the key to what I think we're trying to do on offense is being able to establish the run. That's what Rule says. That's what Satterfield now says, even though we kind of knew that's what they wanted to do. The question is how, because
You have to be creative in your run design. I mean, we're not going to outman them.
and that's the question, is how much of that can you tweak? And I mean, the motion thing is a huge topic of conversation. But then I heard something funny. It's like, just watch. The first time we send the guy in motion and we try to snap it in time, we'll snap it right into him, just like we did with Jeff Sims. So
I forgot about that one.
we do. We need to be more creative with our run approach, but it still does a little bit come down to the players and the guys that we have. I didn't like, what other specifics do you guys think that needs to happen for the run game to go well? I mean, it's hard because we've said this year for a long time, and the struggling part about it is last year our run game was, I'm not going to say it was effective, but it seemed to be better than it has been this year so far. And people knew that was the case last year.
I mean, we feel better about our offensive line this year than we do last year, but I don't know. I don't know if it's – we're just very predictable on when we're going to run the ball and how we're going to run the ball, and that is how you do not establish the run, when you are not more physical than the other team. So you just have to change one of those two things. You either need to surprise them when you run the ball, whether that be like a run pass option, or you aren't running on first down literally every 4 downs.
Yeah,
more motions, and it's harder to see where they're running or who's going to run the ball and where they're going to run it.
I don't think it's your own line's fault. I
don't either.
Again, with play calling, this just name that the podcast, but it's play calling. The team knows where you're going to run the ball, when you're going to run the ball. Their defense is set up for it. Like, you got to switch it up. And like you said, run pass option. I know you don't want to run Iola, but at least make it a threat. Like,
that would be wild if they came out and they're straight up like, Heinrich starting today. We're just gonna freaking.
You're talking about ruining a team, though.
I mean, if you want to beat Ohio State, that's what you do. You throw a freaking curveball. I mean,
you guys got
no, dude. I forgot about it. Run more with him.
Wait, but you just said that ruined our team.
Don't have him start the game, but but screw yeah, run more with him. I don't. Maybe sneaking a toss, a running back toss every now and then.
Running back toss.
Do something, Jesus! It's the same run play over and over.
So you guys got to where my head went to answer this question, and I think we probably will see more. I think we will if we're trying to beat them, which you have to, right? As a team, you can't just go to the team and say, "Well, we're probably not going to win today." Like you're putting together a game plan to beat Ohio State to make them believe that. And I think Heinrich Harburg at the quarterback running it more, even though everybody knows he's going to run it when he's in, but then also getting him the ability to throw. And the other side of that is, can we get Dylan to run? And I don't know the answer. If Dylan, quote unquote, can't run, like, is he literally immobile and cannot move? I feel like every human being can move at some point a little bit,
especially a 19-year-old athlete.
Now,
and are we protecting him from injury? I don't know. Yes. So there's a, and I don't agree with that if that's what we're doing. So the quarterback run game last year was what kept teams a little bit guessing and a little more unpredictable, even though they knew we were running the ball. How we were running the ball, there were more options. Right now, we can't get anything going on the edge. The best plays have been with your Corey Barney, but now those are just you can
They're
call
very-
those a mile away.
Yeah, you know when they're gonna jet sweep it to him.
Our running backs are, like you guys said, are mediocre at best. Like again, I go back to 5 or 6 out of 10. Like they're all about there. None of them are making guys miss. We've been preaching that and hoping that happens. It's not happening. So the next option, I guess, to change is to go to the more quarterback run game and try it out. And I'm not saying it's going to work, but that's what you have to give a shot. If that's what your identity and MO is. Yeah, this is kind of funny because I just been listening to a whole bunch of stuff and listening to people, getting people's thoughts. This is kind of funny. These are all things I heard, not like maybe word for word, but just get this. I've heard people say we can't run the ball because we have no pass game. I've heard people say we can't pass the ball because we have no run game. So again, completely opposites, but people basically saying this is why we can't do that. We have to stop trying to set up the run with the pass. And then we have to stop trying to set up the pass with the run. So it's like nobody knows exactly why or what the problem is with the run game. And I get a lot of those things are probably true, but you think that this coaching staff aren't having some of the same thoughts, like, what the hell? And then you want to go and do, we just don't have the players to run the ball versus we're not, like Dak's saying, we're not scheming. We're not play calling correctly. We don't, or our plays are too complex or not complex enough. I've heard that. We're all over the place. That's what's fascinating as a fan is there's not a consensus on what's wrong. And guess what? The coaching staff is probably in the same boat too. And that's where it comes down to the quote unquote word identity on what in the world are we trying to do? You want to run the ball? Great.
I think this week that's what rules like. We're gonna establish the run, and then he told Satterfield, "Hey, we're gonna establish the run." And so I think this week they're like, "All right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna run the ball." I don't know if I'm as upset about the 5 to 6 ranked 4 running backs we have because I mean obviously the NFL is different, but you see not great running backs do well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to be a great running back to do serviceable running. To get, 4 yards
offensive line, which do we? We just said we did. We thought we did.
I know that's what I'm saying.
I'm not saying it's great. You have a good offensive line.
It's not great, but you see, like in the NFL, I mean, shit, Kyle Shanahan could bring the 5th string running back in.
But I think they have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL.
What about Miami? I mean, any running back you put in Miami, they don't have a great offensive line. Same system.
So then that goes down to play calling, is what you're saying.
Yep.
And
I think it is pretty heavily play calling for running. I really do. Obviously, you do have to have a decent offensive line. You have to have decent running backs, but I think we have both. An elite offensive line allows you to be an elite offensive running team, but I don't think we need that. We just need a decent running team, and we don't even have a decent running game.
Yeah, like you said about people respecting your pass and respecting your run. There's no way people are stacking the box because they have to be respecting Raul a little bit. There's no way they're putting 9 in the box against you. And I think, man, maybe your running back is not good enough to make people miss and stuff. That they need huge holes in you. I mean, coaches see that practice that they are elusive enough, so they just run up the middle, I guess, and say F it. I don't know.
I don't need to be elite to get 2 yards, 3 yards on a carry. They're not even getting that. They're getting like 0 and 1.
And maybe it is your running backs just aren't good enough.
So then here comes this question when it comes to play calling, because I think there are fans out there. I'm not there, but some people are that say, yeah, if we can get 3 yards of carry, 4 yards of carry, then run it every time. Like just mano y mano, let's physically destroy them and run it every time. So that's one option. I don't think Ohio State's a team to try that out on, but it might need to be to potentially win. So let's go through 2nd and 7. What are we doing? Let's say you run it, get 3 yards. That'd be great. Are we passing at 2nd and 7? Are we running at 2nd and 7? Like people go through those scenarios, and some want, and then if you pass it, and then you say, oh, 3rd and 7, 3rd and long, now we got to pass it again. So you just go down this rabbit hole of what's right and what's wrong as play calling. I really hope that the coaching staff has the right idea. But what we're saying is if the coaching staff is the problem and the scheming is the problem, then maybe they don't have the right mindset. The thing is with the fans, everyone's got their own vision. I guess we're just fans. We're just media. We're whatever we are.
I'm also confused. We've moved away from our Ohio State thing, but we'll come back to. I'm also confused because the whole thing with Satterfield was like, again, like I said on Sunday, he has this massive playbook. What the hell is in this freaking playbook? We don't see it on the passing game. We don't see it in the running game. Why is it so big and why is it so complicated? And supposedly we're seeing the whole thing.
It's got to be for show.
The funny thing is complicated because I've heard that. I don't remember who it was. Was it? I think it was Danny Kalen said the playbook.
Danny Kalen and the players at South Carolina said it was a big, complicated playbook.
What's hilarious is then you watch us play and everyone just says, wow, we're running such a simple offense.
Yes.
It's so funny because it's like nothing. It's not adding up as to what's happening.
Like I said on Sunday, they said that it's open. They're not holding anything back. So like this is it. This is the big complicated playbook. Alex Bullock's gonna block on the jet sweep with Barney, and we're gonna run it up the middle on 1st down every time. I just don't get it.
Okay, Dak, keep going because I have some thoughts on our offense and what we got to do, but I want to see if you hit on them. I want to see how good of a coach you are.
Well, my next one was you got to run some trick plays, which I guess we kind of to pull a huge upset.
Name your favorite trick play. What's your favorite trick play? You got?
I've been calling it for the last year on this podcast. Run a flea flicker.
Flea flickers are great.
That is my favorite. That or running back pass. Although that goes south quick if the running back just decides to throw it anyway. But easily the flea flicker. I've been calling for. I think you ran it
week 1. I think we ran it week 1 this year.
Which that's just a waste. Come on, it's against UTEP. I don't care. Run it again. Who cares? You're gonna get smoked either way. Just run any. I don't run a trick play for the love of God, but I don't think Satterfield has that in his Bible of a freaking playbook. All right, next one. I think you got to play dirty.
Wow.
You got to show up with some edge on you. I don't care if people get ejected. Play dirty. As you guys just got obliterated last week. Show up with some edge on you. Play chippy. Maybe throw a little knee shot at Will Howard here and there. You know what happens when you hit a quarterback low and stuff? It makes him back off. It scares him a little bit.
All of a sudden, Will Howard's going to go out for the year, and Dak's going to be getting arrested. So to that, get what you're saying. You went extreme.
I'm not saying blow his knees out, but
that's basically what you just said.
Scare him a little.
It's kind of the same concept that we talked about before Colorado was the word being edgy, have a chip on your shoulder. Austin noticed it in the Indiana game how we had 0 of that on TV. We need to have some of that, even though it's a team that we as fans think that we're probably not going to win. The players should come out with and yeah, you might get laughed at if we do get beat bad, but that's the mindset you have to have. You have to come out fired up and play with an edge on your shoulder. I'm not saying play dirty, but I did say it would be fun to get in some guys' faces early on and make them go, look at you guys, just to show them, you know what? No, like we're not backing down. I think you should do that every game though. Like, I don't think that's just for a really good team. Cause we didn't, you don't do that against Indiana. Guess what? You get your ass kicked. So I like that one, Dak, just maybe not as extreme as you went.
Next one.
There's more.
It's going to contradict what I said about the run game, but let Raiola air it out.
What?
I don't mean throw 40 times a game. I mean throw the ball deep. I was thinking about this. When was the last time Jalen Lloyd has had a deep ball thrown to him?
Thrown to him and caught are two different things.
Just straight up thrown to him.
Kind of. Both of them are 0.
Yeah. Throw it deep. And you know what? Get Fedoni going too. I like that last week. That like I said, it's a really bright spot. Get him going too. Use him more in the pass game, even though he has no looseness to him either. I don't know what he does for juke moves or anything, but he's run straight like your run game. So there you go.
He's just a big tight end with solid hands, you know?
I'm glad you elaborated, because if you would have left it at establish the run game and let Dylan Raiola air it out, I agree. And I'm going to throw this in here too. And nobody's talked about it. I haven't heard a word about it. Who is our other deep threat on this team?
Nair.
Carter Nelson.
Maybe. No.
Barney.
Maybe.
Malachi
Coleman.
Whoa.
We made the decision not to play him this year, right? Or play him in select games. I think Malachi is coming out this game. He's got 4 games. I think he's coming out to play. I don't agree with a guy like that. Why we said, hey, we're going to redshirt him this year. Their thinking process, I get it. I just disagree with it. Why, if we have a guy that has that deep threat and clearly we're lacking that, why is a freshman not playing in every game? Now, maybe they thought that Nair, Banks, Jalen Lloyd, those guys were going to be those deep threats, but we're like Daxon, we're not even trying it, which is what's fascinating. Again, even if it's incomplete, there has to be that threat, right, of doing it so that they can't just load the box up. And how are teams defending us right now? They're playing man-to-man press coverage on the outside because they know that we're faster and quicker than them. We're not going to throw it. So they're going to play man on the outside. And then on the inside, you're going to bring more guys in the box and stop the run. Like, that's how teams are defending us. It's pretty simple what they're doing.
Yep. And it shows, Raiola has a bad QBR against man-to-man.
So now the question is, if we do that, because Dak, I agree, that's in my little game plan here. When is the time to do that? Because if we do that on 1st and 10, oh boy, that is contradicting establishing the run. Best time to do that are when? 2nd and 2, right? 2nd and 3. How many 2nd and 2 and 3s have we had all year?
None.
So since week 4,
the question is when. Now you're going to do it on 3rd and 11. Shocker. Now maybe that is an option on 3rd and 11 because we don't do that. I don't even know what we do on 3rd and 11 half the time. You also got to have time for those guys to get down there to throw the pass, which I think we did a decent job of. So yeah, there is that point of it, but I agree that threat needs to show up somehow, some way with anyone, even if it's looks horrible a couple of times. Throw it twice a game, 3 times a game. And guess what? To win this game, maybe we'll just have to get a tipped ball or a bounce off a guy's helmet into one of those guys' hand for a touchdown. That's going to have to happen, plays like that, for us to win. We're going to have to get a couple of those. We're not going to be able to put 14 play drives together and score 21 points that way. It's not going to happen.
What also happens on deep balls all the time? Pass interference.
Yep.
Like, that's pass interference happens all the time on deep balls. Just throw it up there. Something terrible could easily happen, but
it's a lot harder for an interception. Because usually the defensive backs their heads away from the ball. So it's probably less of a likelihood if you're throwing a deep one to the outside, like outside the numbers. It's probably less likely for an interception, I feel, than if you're doing it inside the numbers.
And
I'd rather pick on a 40-yard pass than a 10-yard pass.
It's like more like something terrible is going to happen. It can't get much worse, right? Like, it's not like anything's worked real well. So that to me offensively was the most disappointing thing in the Indiana game, is that it just looked like we continue to do the same stuff that we did coming off a bye week.
Right. Even when it wasn't working, we're still doing it.
It was not like our offense was good against Rutgers or Purdue either. So that was a frustrating part. You hope you see some different things after what happened. Any other ones, Dak?
Last one. You just gotta hope. It's going back to his K-State days. He had that Will Howard has one of his off games. Even as time at K-State, every season you have one or two games where he was just awful. Other than that, he was great, but you just got to hope it's one of those games. I think back to the Iowa State game last year. He was terrible in that game. That's his whole career. He said one bad game, one or two for a season. You just got to hope that's this week.
They're going to have to make some mistakes. I agree. If Ohio State just comes out and plays average, it's going to be hard to beat him with what we have. Yeah, Will Howard's been pretty damn good this year for him. He's not a Heisman type number put upper, but he's thrown 14 touchdowns, 3 picks, and throwing for about 80% completion percentage, pretty dang close to it. So, like, he's got a lot of pieces around him. When you talk about their running backs, 2 of them with Judkins and Henderson. I mean, they both have over 400 yards, 6 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. We mentioned the 5.9 yards per carry, first in the Big Ten, and then these receivers. Whew, I mean, Jeremiah Smith, number 1 overall recruit in the country last year. Came in and just took over the top spot pretty much. I mean, you could argue that maybe Emeka Egbuka is like still their number 1, but I mean, Jeremiah Smith is damn good, and they still got Cardinal Tate and who's a really outstanding freshman last year, and they brought in another freshman, Brandon Ennis, this year. So they have so many pieces around them that we're not anywhere close to that. And you don't want to use the word, never you would say that to a team. We just got to hope they mess up. But a little bit of it is, we got it nice to have a little luck or the ball bouncing our way. If, we do get to Will Howard and we can get a strip sack and the ball just bounces into one of our D linemen, and maybe instead of we just falling on it, we are able to scoop and score type of play like that. Like, I think that stuff needs to happen for us to win. I just don't think we're going to be able to put enough in a week to score to beat Ohio State.
No, don't forget, they're coming off a bye week after losing to Oregon.
Thanks for mentioning that.
I mean, we're coming off of an ass whooping, so he's like, oh, we're going to have a little extra edge to us. They're going to be freaking pissed. And they've had a whole week to stew on it and prep. Ugh.
Now, how much of Ohio State have you guys watched this year? Because I've only watched half a quarter, so I don't know how good they really are.
I watched the Oregon game, and they look pretty competitive against the team that I think pretty highly of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched them a whole lot.
They haven't played anybody besides Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, they're 5-1. They are still ranked number 4 in the country. Chip Kelly's their OC too. I think you see a lot of his creativity, which I would say he's one of the more creative offensive coaches in college football that they've had this century. So I think that bodes well for them. Then they're in a 3rd year season with Jim Knowles running that 4.25. And guys, Ryan Day, this is just crazy to me. Okay, before I say the Ryan Day stat, do you guys think Ryan Day's a good coach?
No.
Yes.
I do too. Dak says no, but Dak, you're not wrong with that. It's so funny how that Michigan game means so much to them that they're calling for his head. Like, if they can't turn things around, and I get the expectations are a little bit different, but he's 61-9. He's lost 9 games in like
6 years.
6 years at Ohio State. 9 total games. So you want to say what you want about their performance, I guess, in the postseason. Their expectations are maybe a little different, but the guy's a good coach, and this is a statement game for them. Like, coming off a bye week,
big noon kickoff,
and they want, like, I'm sorry if it's 35-7, they're not just going to run the clock out. They want a statement game to show the country that no, we're still legit. And Indiana beat Nebraska 56-7. We can do it too. That's what's scary if it starts going south. Now, the flip side is if we can keep it close, it's going to look a lot better. They're going not run it up on us. They're going to be fired up. Like, we're talking a lot about us, and we should be talking a lot about us. But look at their situation. Look at their spot.
Yeah, they're going to kill us. It's going to be bad. They are, Dak, if I told you, who do you think's last in the Big Ten in field goals made in 2024?
Minnesota?
No, it's freaking Ohio State.
Oh, because they haven't kicked one.
They've kicked 3 this year, but they have 100% red zone success. So you do the math there, and the number of points they've scored, all they do is score freaking touchdowns. Oh,
I can't
I saw
believe
that
them.
too.
How's Nebraska made more than 3? I can't remember a single one they've made.
They've all been like 20-yarders.
Yeah, I was going to say
2 in the UTEP game.
that was one of my last points too. Make your kicks. I mean, that's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
But first you got to get down to a spot where you can kick it. So
ideally, we're not kicking anything. We're just score. We're gonna have to score touchdowns. Like we're not.
hey, that's
This game is not a 21-17 grinder. I mean, this is gonna be. If we win, it's gonna be 42-35, 42-38. Like I mean.
Hey, I disagree because so I'm the opposite. I can't see us winning that because I still, no matter what, can't see us scoring that. What I can see happening is if we do, if Ohio State, like if Will Howard throws 3 picks, or if next word gets out and we injure his knee and he goes out the first drive of the game,
hey.
I mean, I'm sure they'll bring in Julian Sayin and he'll be stepped right in and be fine. But
you're probably right.
That would be how we win, and then we get a pick 6, or we get a kickoff return, or we get a fumble recovery. That's how we get 21, and then they just mess up enough to score 17. We're talking about how we're going to win.
Right, you're right. If we were to win, it's because Ohio State didn't score, but that's not happening because Ohio State is going to just kill us.
Okay, so let me go through, Dak. I think you got through a lot of your things. Specifics in the game here. I'm actually
last point too. There actually one more point. You got to take the crowd out of it.
Thanks.
That's last point too.
There you go.
I think all those things. If you do those things, the crowd will be out of it.
So yeah, that's the end of my list. All right.
I agree. I do think again things got to be different, right? If you try to do the same thing we did against Indiana, the score is probably not going to look much different. So why not try something different? It might look catastrophic at times. This is the game to say, you know what, screw it, let's do it. I do like taking the ball first. I do like seeing if we can go down and score first. I like that. You do that, you go, the momentum, the edginess, you're feeling good. By doing that, we're going to need to break off a couple of runs. We haven't done that, and we're going to have to hit a deep ball here or there. I don't think it's the game to try to say, okay, second and all of our time, try to throw passes across the middle. Yes, get Fedoni going when we can, but I think it's run the clock down to 2 seconds every time and snap it, run it, and then on third down, you take a deep shot. You hope you hit one. If you don't, Buschini, you better be good. The kicking game better be good. So, like, that's to me kind of the strategy the whole game, and then you got to just play the clock really, really well around halftime. And at the end of the game, like you just have to. And I know
do you guys remember how Northern Iowa played us? We are Northern Iowa.
Yeah, there you go.
Nebraska.
Yeah.
And
so that
you
is
gotta hope the second half when their athletes are starting to maybe dominate us. You got to hope that that a couple weird things happen where they mess up, where they throw a bad pass. We get a tip pass to the line of scrimmage, it popped up and it falls into someone's hands. We block a punt. But why not? Like, what is there to lose this game? Try some different things, right? Especially on offense, but try some different things and see what works, what sticks, and some things are going to be just catastrophic. And you're going to say, we're never doing that again. Heck, I like the idea of coming out and running the triple option like we did back in 2020 with Frost. Go down and do that for a drive if we can put that in a week. That might be hard to do because it's completely different. But yeah, I think that's the formula to give us a shot, which is what you're selling to your team. If you go into the locker room this week and you say, all right, here's the small tweaks that we're making from last week to try to beat Ohio State, they're going to look at you and they're going to go,
what?
You're kidding. You're joking. So I think that's what you have to instill in the guys' minds. You cannot just tell them, well, we're just gonna make a couple of things here and try it out. No, after what happened last week, there's some major changes needing to happen. It's going to be a tough game to see those actually play out, but that's what you need to do at this point for this game.
Yep, I agree. I want to see a lot of Heinrich. And that's, I agree with everything else we've kind of talked about as we were going through it. Zero chance it works, but you're right.
Dak, number of trick plays over or under. Give me a line.
If I was the offense coordinator or the idiot you got calling plays right now.
Oh, both. What is actually going to happen? Then what would you do if you were the OC?
What's actually going to happen 1.5. If I was the OC, 6.
So I want to hear. I want before we end here. I want to hear you go through like all the trick plays you can think of that you would run. You mentioned the halfback pass. You mentioned the flea flicker. Would you run the flea flicker 6 times?
I would, no joke, run it 3 times.
Okay. What else? What else are we throwing at him?
Do you call Raiola running a trick play?
Maybe.
No.
You got the fake punt.
You got to
throw
be
to an
smart about
offensive
that fake
lineman.
punt, though.
Eligible offensive lineman, Philly
The
special.
running back, toss the running back, throw it or run it. F it. Tell him even if it's covered, throw it. Screw it. Next one, fake punt. For sure, fake field goal because you ain't making a kick either way. So for sure, you run one of those. they probably know it's coming, but there's some of this shit you just gonna have to do this game. Like,
what's your favorite? What's the fake field goal play that's worked the most in your experience?
Next question. I know exactly what you're asking.
What would you run if you were running a fake field goal?
Maybe toss back to the kicker, roll out to the right, and someone's gonna be wide open in the back of the end zone.
Austin, for inside joke clarity and everybody else, I think I've scored on that extra point on Dak like over 15 times when I played him in college football, and he still falls for it every time.
Dak.
What was your record last year, Hunter?
I did lose one game, and it was to you. All right. Austin Survivor Pool's out. So
the one I didn't think was going to be an issue.
What was the final score of that?
27-24.
Wait, also
they got the ball back with 6 seconds left. Liberty did.
That's actually a massive upset. What the hell happened?
What we're gonna do starting on Sunday is we're gonna do a new Survivor Pool, but we're switching to NBA. NBA started last night. Today there's a bunch of games. We're gonna pick one game for the week, I believe. And now teams play multiple games, but you're picking the game in the week that you are picking a winner of. You can't use the same NBA team twice. Never done something like this before at the NBA, but I think it's kind of fun. All 3 of us are NBA followers. Actually, I would say you two probably a lot more than even I am. So should be some fun. Another new Survivor Pool to get into. But Austin, congrats on your victory.
It feels sad. I thought I was going to make it the whole way. I thought this week was going to be a lock, and then I had all the top 25 teams.
I think it'd be fun to go back and do it again, and the approaches you change it. I think it's good. 4 teams is pretty. I mean, that's challenging enough to get through a whole year, and I would say myself included, and Austin maybe too. We got a little conservative on some of our picks. But I wouldn't even call your pick conservative this week. That was just
it was a 25-point favorite.
Yeah.
Your present for winning is you get to watch Ohio State, Nebraska.
There you go.
Dak, you went, what was it, 4-6 last week?
4-6. Not great. I've officially cut OU from my betting locks or my betting picks every week. I think it's first time on podcast I have not had him on the list.
I would agree in like 2 years.
Speaking of coach to get fired, get Venables out of there. He can't. Long story. We can talk about that another day. He can't get fired. Sadly, but all right.
Yeah. Give us your picks this week.
All right.
You can give a little explanation too with them if you want.
See, I forgot to write down the opponents, but so if I start rambling, it's because I'm trying to look up who they
Just,
play.
no, just hey, slow down. Tell me your pick. I have a lot of games right now. I'll see if I get you an opponent, but slow down. You don't have to speed it. There's no timer on this.
Okay. First off, UNLV plus 3.5 against Boise State. This might be the game of the week. It's basically for winner. This is most likely is going to make the playoff. It's at UNLV. I like their backup quarterback they have. The first one actually quit. So give me UNLV plus 3.5 at home. Next one, Rutgers plus 13.5 against USC. USC sucks. And you guys are talking about prediction I made in the podcast coming true. There's one going to come true here pretty soon. Link Riley's going to get fired. Next one, Navy plus 13 against Notre Dame.
You're still going through it like 100 miles an hour. Okay, keep going.
Navy plus 13 against Notre Dame. Guys, Navy's really good. I say that again. I haven't watched a second of them. But but I don't think Notre Dame's that good. I have watched some of them. And I think it's at Navy. They're going to cover that. They'll actually win that game. Indiana minus 6.5 against Washington. Game day's going there. I'm surprised Washington's not better. Will Rogers, I thought was a really good quarterback. What I rank in Big Ten, top 5, top maybe 2. Anyway, what I saw from Indiana last week, I think they're for real. Illinois plus 21.5 against Oregon. I think Illinois is actually really good. I'm surprised it's 21.5. I get Oregon's a top. Are they number 1?
Yeah.
They are number 1. Okay, I get they're number 1, but I think Illinois is a top 20 team in the nation. Missouri.
They are.
Well, there's a lot of misleading rankings out there. Next one. Minnesota minus 4 against Maryland. I didn't think Minnesota's going to be good at all this year. PJ Flex actually turned them around, and they're a decent football team. Their quarterback's playing better now. I don't know how good Maryland is. They beat USC. Couldn't tell you about them. Next one, Missouri. It's plus 16.5 against Alabama. I think Alabama's awful. Okay, not awful. Their defense is awful. Their defense is really bad. And Missouri has not been as good as I thought they were going to be. I think Missouri actually wins that game too.
Oh,
Next one. Oh, by the way, Navy was my lock of the week, plus 13. Vandy plus 18.5. I have zero clue who they're playing.
Texas.
Well, okay. Explain yourself. No explanation there. Miami minus 21. I don't know who they're playing. I think somebody. Oh, Florida State.
Florida State.
That explains itself too. Florida State is terrible. Okay, there was a question today. Do you guys fire Mike Norvell?
No.
I don't think you do either, but
You can't give me 1 year. You have to be at least 2 years removed from being 6-0. He can be fired midseason next year. You can't fire him the year after.
I agree with that.
but he wasn't good before that year either. I don't know.
I think he will get fired, though.
Yeah.
You think he will?
Yep.
After this year? Huh.
Yep.
Also, in case you guys were wondering, the Bulls Pelicans NBA game 81-80.
Oh, yeah.
Final
Finals?
score. We're back, baby.
Yeah.
And then, I guess last NBA note, watch out for those Blazers, baby. Delano Band and Bryce McGowan. New backcourt.
I love
forming with
Bannon.
the West.
I love Bannon.
I do too.
Did you have any others, Dak, or is that it?
Oh, yeah. One more, Wisconsin. See, that's what I was going to say. I don't know who they play. Plus 6.5. Wisconsin's actually been playing really good of late.
They put Penn State.
Penn State. I don't think Penn State's very good. You know, that's another one. Another winner outright. So I got Wisconsin winning outright, Navy winning outright, UNLV winning outright, Missouri winning outright.
4 dogs. Hey, throw $5 on that and let the money ride.
You should.
That's a good idea. That'd be a good parlay right there. I don't honestly in Rutgers, throw Rutgers in there too. I think they could beat USC. USC's not very good. And their coach is even worse.
If you win that, Dak, you You're buying first round at
You
the Return to Glory podcast holiday party.
you think I think Marcus Satterfield sucks? Lincoln Riley really sucks.
I would take Lincoln Riley in a heartbeat.
As your OC, yeah. Oh yeah. Now as a head coach, no.
Was he good at Oklahoma?
Just kidding. I would take him back in a second, Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
All right. Well, good luck, Huskers, this week. Let's win the game. That's all that matters, right? We'll be back Sunday. Go Big Red.
GBR.
Skol, go Vikings tomorrow night.